This is a 2001 Chevy C1500 Z71. It has lost its fuel pump again. This is going to be the third time I've had to replace it since I've had this truck. And I've got another fuel pump already. What I'm going to do is take the bed off, loosen the 8 bolts underneath, and disconnect all the electrical connectors for the lights and the ground connector on the front, right up under there, and disconnect the fuel filler tube. And then I'll lift the back of the bed up so I can get the fender up over the bumper back there. And then I'll have to pull the bed back so it's this part of the fender right here is resting on top of the tire. That'll pull it back far enough that I can access the front or the top of the gas tank. So first thing to do is disconnect the electrical connectors for the lights and then start pulling those 8 bolts out from underneath. Okay, yeah, these connectors come out pretty easy, at least mine did. I just depress this little catch right here and gently pull on it and it comes out. And it turns out I only have to remove 2 of them, because this one and that one each go to one of the taillight assemblies, and they will come off with obviously with the bed of the truck, so I don't have to take those out. These 2 I did have to take out. Okay, we're looking up at one of the bed bolts. This is driver's side towards the front, and that is an 18 millimeter. 3/4 is a little too big, 11/16 is a little too small, so that's 18 millimeter. Okay, the 2 bed bolts on each side in the back are accessible through a hole in the frame here. You'll need quite a few extenders to get up in there. The other one up here is pretty much the same, up inside there, and the 2 in the front are more easily accessible because the bolts are on the side of the frame. This is towards the front of the bed on the driver's side. There is a ground strap right there that leads up to the fuel filler tube up there. This has to be disconnected before the bed will slide back. Also, it's a 10 millimeter, by the way. You also want to make absolutely certain that you put that back on before you try to start the truck. This is ground for the fuel pump. If that's not connected, then the fuel pump won't work. To disconnect the fuel filler tube, these 3 screws right here have to come out. Those are 7 millimeter. Alright, what I got to do now is lift the back end of the bed up high enough so the fenders will clear the bumper. I've got this piece of pipe, metal rod right here. I'm going to stick it in there, pry this up a little ways, and start putting blocks of wood on top of the frame to keep the bed up. And then once it's high enough, I'll work on sliding the bed back. I've got these pieces of 2x6. All I did was put this up underneath, lift it up, slide the piece of 2x6 underneath that. I'm going to keep inching it up and putting some more 2x6s underneath there until the fenders are clear of the bumper. Alright, lifting the bed with that iron bar was getting kind of difficult, so I got a floor jack, stuck it up underneath there, and lifted it up some more. I'll keep doing that just a little bit more. The next thing is going to be try to slide the bed back some until that fender touches the back wheel. I decided to go with longer boards right here because I wanted the front of the boards to be able to rest on that crossbeam underneath the bed. That way when I start pulling this back, it can slide up on top of the boards. That's a couple scrap piece of OSB. I just taped it to the top of the tire. So when this fender comes back, it'll rest on here and there's no danger of puncturing the tire. I'll do the same on the other side. Okay, what I'm going to do, I've attached a strap to the truck bed. I've got the truck in neutral. I'm going to attach the other end of the strap to my car and slowly pull the bed backwards. The truck is in neutral, so it will roll. When that fender up there in front of the tire hits the tire, I hope it'll just roll the fender up on top of the tire. And I've got chocks down to not let the truck roll any further than I want it to. Let's cross our fingers and hope this works. Right there. I'll need to take that out. That's the top of the fuel pump assembly. Unfortunately, the tires rolled a little too far. Fenders are sitting right up on top of the tire, both sides, but it looks okay. I hope it doesn't puncture it. Before I take the old fuel pump out, I took the electrical connector out of the new fuel pump. I'm going to make sure that this fits. The second time I did this, the connector that came with the fuel pump didn't fit. I had to take the whole thing back. And it looks like they do match. Now this is a lock ring on top. I'll have to take a screwdriver and a hammer and knock this ring counterclockwise so that it will come loose. These three hoses also have to come off. squeeze the sides of this connector, it will allow the tabs to clear and the hose might slide off. This one did give me a little bit of trouble, but by squeezing these tabs right here, it allowed me to eventually work it off. This one here, all I do is take my channel locks and squeeze the side of this, and it caused the end of the connector to spread outwards up like this, and it unlocked itself. It came off pretty easy. Okay, getting that locking ring in was not easy. You would think that you would just lay it in place, put a screwdriver in here and just start hammering to twist it that way. But that didn't do anything. Achieved absolutely nothing. What I ended up doing was pressing this on there as far as I could, and then using different size screwdrivers, sticking them in here and just prying this way and that way, and just until the locking ring had moved quite a ways. And then I didn't have anything big enough to continue doing that, so I took a pry bar, stuck it on there, and just whacked it as hard as I could with a hammer. Now, resist the urge to put it here inside that groove, because that will just break the locking ring. These notches right here were made for forcing this ring around. I'm missing a couple pieces on these. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see if it starts. Oh, wait a minute. Can't do that yet. I have to connect this ground. And over here is also the ground for the fuel pump, so it won't start unless at least this one is in tight. Okay, it ran. Now I get to put it back together. Okay, once the bed is back in place, make absolutely certain you reconnect the fuel pump ground and this strap that comes from the fuel filler. This alligator clip I put here was to ground the fuel pump while I started the engine and pulled the truck slowly forward. If I had not grounded this, the engine would just not start. Okay, so that has to be grounded before the fuel pump will work.